official launch of Mikaela's cookbook. She's put 6 years of literal blood, sweat, and lots of tears into this cookbook. So, so to start off, this is going to be a very unbiased interview. Okay, I've got some hard-hitting questions. I have a clipboard. Objective interview. Mikaela and I have never met. Never met, and so we're going to get to the facts. So we're having a lot of fun here. Mikaela and I known each other for over 20 years, and we met in high school. And I've seen Mikaela's journey firsthand. She's one of my very best friends, arguably my best girlfriend. And this has definitely been a labor of love for Mikaela. And we're so proud. Everyone that knows Mikaela knows how much this means to her. And we're all so proud of this launch. And we're so happy for her. And we're really excited that you guys are here to celebrate it. And so we're going to do that. We're going to just sort of start by maybe getting a little bit of background on the book and talk about why did you take so long?
It's very detailed. Why did it take so long? Is that really your question?
Yeah, well, let's first talk about the why did you decide to create the book, and we'll go from there.
You know, I think as a private chef, you make these beautiful things and they disappear at the end of every day. And I started to feel like I was finding a theme, and I was learning so much about putting healthy together with flavor. And I think that was what inspired me. I had no organization. I had no recipes. It all lived in my mind. And my friends kept saying, can I have a recipe for this? I'd be like, just try this, add this, do this. I'd take calls while I was like on walks and tell people how to cook things just from my imagination. And it started to make me think that I could probably try to get it out of my brain. That was hard. And I think, as you know, I had had like a bad breakup. I was sad and I needed something to pour myself into. I might have like got a puppy or something now after the fact. Something a little. I need the dog. But I think I just was ready for something different. I was ready to do something that felt a little more, I guess, inspiring to me. Yeah, that's why.
And you've had a fairly untraditional path to becoming a chef. I remember we were studying kinesiology at University of Victoria. So can you talk a little bit about how you became a chef in the first place?
Well, it was actually in one of our classes in kinesiology. Ben was like sitting there one day. He's like, you know what? This sucks. And I was like, yeah, this is tough. And he's like, no, I don't think I'm going to do this anymore. And I was like, that's not how school works, Ben. And he just left. He didn't come back. He like didn't show up, and he went and did a thing. And I was like, oh, interesting. You don't have to do the thing you committed to. I did finish. But later, the next time I found myself in another program, and I was doing a master's now in physiotherapy. And I was like, how am I still on this path? I'm so scared to leave it, because I thought that education was the way through for me to create success in my life. And I met a chef on Maui with our friend's sister, and who's the photographer of this book. And she was like, why don't we go shoot some recipes at a friend's house? And the chef came home mid-photo shoot, yelled at me. I trashed the kitchen, but he tried my food that day. And a year later, he called me and said, can I train you? And I dropped out of school the next day, like never looked back with all the, and just kind of followed Ben, but followed the idea that like I could do the unknown thing. And it really did start with that conversation in class. And I was like, you don't just quit something you've started. And he's like, but I'm not happy. And I'd never thought about that. So that was pivotal in that day. And then meeting someone who was willing to train me, who I didn't want to be a chef. I wanted to do nutrition because there was something lacking from physiotherapy. What do they call it in America? Physical therapy. Everyone's Canadian. But there was like something very lacking in all of these programs. I was like, oh, I know about the muscles, surgery, rehab, but not about how you actually feed the body. And that kept like really going. And then I dated a pilot for a while, and I would travel wherever he was, and I started to take cooking classes in every country we went to. And everywhere I saw this like really beautiful bond, and it showed the culture where we were, like what was available and what people were doing. And it was always this bond. And I got so interested in food. So when I finally met the chef and he agreed to train me in nutritional cooking, I like couldn't say no. That's how.
So what was it about cooking that you sort of captivated you or drew you in or gave you energy? Or you said like you weren't happy going to school. What about cooking made you happy?
So I'm not like thrilled about 8 hours of potato chopping in the kitchen by myself. Like just to like the kind of cooking that I found was like a little super, super challenging, a little chaotic at times. It was on the road as a traveling private nutritional chef. It was different. Every job was different. Every kitchen was different. Everything was always a puzzle. And I think I liked the puzzle. I liked the challenge. I liked putting the pieces together. And I like every client was different. I'm allergic to this. I have this need. I'm keto. I'm vegan. I'm raw. Like it was always so stimulating for my brain. And so I think it wasn't just cooking that I found. It was really just something that kept me learning always. And always somewhere new. Like my first job was in Paris, and I was like, how? I'm like, oh, I got to Paris, and the client was like, I want nut milk. And I was like, okay. So I tried to put the Vitamix in the wall, and it's a different voltage. So I got whatever the thing is called, and I stripped wires, and I made sure that I could make the Vitamix work. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. Like it was so cool of the adventure and the opportunity.
Yeah, because you kind of just started to go with it. Like there was like at some point you were just cooking for celebrities and traveling around the world, and it just became this new life that you were leading, and then you get the opportunity to do the book, and then there's a lot of challenges that come up when you're trying to create something from nothing, go through the creative process, build and achieve your dream it's not easy. So okay, so you get the book deal, or you're starting to go through the paces of putting together a book. You're like, perfect, this will take me 6 to 8 months. And then so let's talk about like what went into let's talk about what then went into actually this going from that moment to this day.
One summer, 4 girlfriends and I thought, let's make a book. We'll just pick 5 islands or 5 destinations in British Columbia, and we'll shoot a different part of the book in each place.
Yeah. So you didn't have a book deal?
No.
Okay.
I didn't have recipes designed. They were still in here. I was like, this seems like a great plan. No plan. So I took a loan, super smart, and we borrowed a truck, and we drove island to like Squamish, Hornby Island. I don't know if you know these places, but really beautiful.
Everyone's Canadian, yeah.
Everyone's Canadian,
no.
Right? So we ventured, and what I didn't think about was the fact that we had to bring every plate and every tool. So we had 200 to 300 pounds of equipment we'd unload, and we were renting Airbnbs, and we were literally schlepping groceries. Like I think it took us like 8 hours just to unpack and set up for each shoot. Did not account for that, and then trying to manage a team of people without a plan proved to be quite interesting. Sharing beds, broken dishwashers, ferry breakdowns, like ovens stopped working. And so we tried to make everything as magical as it could. And to be honest, like that is what I'm most proud of actually is the photography. We would walk up and be like, wow, that great cement in that driveway. We'd be like, we know where we're shooting first. And that's how we'd be like, oh, rainfall. Okay, let's go under here. Oh, we'd find a fort. Like we followed nature, which for me is like really important. And like when I'm like looking at the back, I'm like, okay, local cafe, standing on a picnic table, our friend's backyard, like everything in random fields on the sides of roads that we drive by as the sun was setting. And so for me to not do it in an environment that was like white lit, same thing, felt really special. So that was the beginning. and then
I just want to make sure everyone's clear, and I'm clear on this. So you ask 3 friends. You say, I want to do a book. I'm going to do a cookbook. You're a photographer. You're my other 2 friends that can wash dishes and drive. And I'm going to take out a loan and we're going to go and make a book.
Yeah.
And they say,
they signed up.
So you go on a road trip
Yeah.
to a couple islands in Squamish.
Yeah.
And then what happens? You go buy groceries. You have them in your head. Have you written down the recipes?
No.
Or no, haven't written down the recipes.
I would dictate. I'd be like, I add this, try this, do this. And
while
so
you're cooking it.
While we were cooking it,
they'd write it down
on the fly.
Wow. Okay.
On paper, loose paper.
Real paper.
We lost the papers.
Well, that's why it took so long to get to find them and put the book together.
I had to work backwards from each photo to build the recipe, which was an extra year we didn't count on.
Because you lost the papers?
We lost the papers. No one was really organizing. No one was organizing, but we had these beautiful, and I knew what we had done. Like my flavor, the way I cook is actually very, like I could probably work backwards on most of these recipes still. Like if you show me a recipe, I'm like, I know what to do.
Right.
So I think we went out, we didn't have a plan. We then wrote them down later.
So you'd go to the grocery store, you say, okay, girls, I'm thinking this is what we're gonna make. You go get the eggplant, you go get the Parmesan.
Yeah.
Come back to the house.
Yeah.
You're in the kitchen, you're prepping, they're prepping. You cook, they write down the recipes.
Yeah.
You put it in a bowl that you bring.
Yeah.
Because you realize we gotta put it in nice bowls. And then you go and shoot it.
Yeah.
And then you all eat it.
Yeah.
All right. So how long did that take to
months? Because we shot 250 recipes the first round.
Wow. How many recipes are in the book?
150, and I had to cut 100.
So that's why it took so long. Yeah.
Lost them too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is very untraditional.
Very.
You could write a book on how not to.
I could do that. How not to write a cookbook.
Yeah. So okay. So now you have all the photos, you have the recipes, and you still don't have a cookbook. You haven't.
Oh, I don't have a proposal yet.
You don't. Okay. So now you have to go and say, okay, I got to put this together and pitch a.
Yeah.
And so you go and you put it all together and you go to a publisher and they say, great, now you're going to put it together.
More or less, I like interview a lot of agents, like, because there's so many different things people tell you to do.
Yeah.
But it took me like probably 8 months after finishing this to get the proposal done, because I was like, what are we doing? Like, I still didn't know what we were making.
Right.
They're like, what's the book about? I'm like, well, I don't know. What do you think it's about? And there was a real, like, I still sometimes don't entirely understand what it is.
Which isn't, I don't necessarily a bad thing. I think that when you're trying to follow a format, then you're creating something that's already been created. Whereas this is, I bet you not many people have made a cookbook like this, and that's what makes it special. But also that's what makes it unique to you.
It was hard because they wanted, what are your breakfasts? And I was like, well, I don't really have like that. Or like, you need lunches, you need dinners, you need like these meals. And I'm like, I don't make food that way. Everything's broken down into sides and into sauces in a very different way, where this goes with this as a base for this. And it's all, it's a choose your own adventure. And everything can kind of go with everything else. And they were like, no.
And so you're sort of funding this on your own.
Yeah.
You took out the loan. It's a long process. And so what were the hardest moments in that 6-year journey?
Probably when I handed in what I thought was the final version on December 21st, 2022. And I handed it over and I said, I did it. And she goes, I can't really read your writing. I think I'm going to have you redo this. And it was a 400-page manuscript that I had spent hours, like, and I hadn't seen friends. I lost a lot of friends in like the last 2 years of the editing because I couldn't make, everything was a deadline. That was telling. We were laughing earlier because I was always on, if you don't get this deadline done, the book won't be, no, you can't go to that note if you don't finish this deadline. So I was like, I can't go to weddings. I can't go to birthdays. I missed your birthday. Like I like really was so busy with it. So when I finally got it done, I was like, freedom on the other side. And I handed it over and she gave it back to me and she said, you're going to have to redo this. And then I broke up with my boyfriend that day. And then my visa to America got denied that day. And I went to bed and I think I had a minor stroke. And I woke up the next morning and I had vertigo for a month. And I couldn't look at a computer for almost 4 months. So I had to rewrite the entire book on a computer, but I had to have a friend move into my house and I would sit with sunglasses and dictate what I needed him to write on a computer. That was tough. That was really tough. And then I got COVID and lost my taste and smell. So I couldn't taste the recipes. And I was like, anything else? I was like, I can't look. I like couldn't do anything. Yeah. So that put a dent in the book for about a year as well. Yeah, that was very tough.
I mean, yeah.
That
would have been extremely hard to, I mean, what was it that, made you not just throw in the towel or like what?
I don't think I knew how, I kind of looped. I didn't know for a year I was testing the same recipes, but I didn't know I was. Mm-hmm. So I'd like test the recipe and then finally I hired an assistant and she was like, hey, you tested this 3 days ago. And I'm like, no, we didn't. And so she'd show me photos. And so I realized that I was like unknowingly looping in like kind of chaos until this person came on to help move me out of it. Mm-hmm. And she started to keep track of what we'd been doing. And she's like, you finished this book like 6 months ago. Wow. And so we finally handed it in. And I don't know why I didn't give up.
What do you think you learned?
To come back to that, no idea.
Well, I think you've like,
it's always so close.
I feel like from the beginning, you've lived a life where you've done a lot of hard things in your life, and so I think that probably helped you. Did you learn anything about doing hard things throughout this process?
I think I've learned actually just in like the last few weeks that it's okay to ask for help. Mm-hmm. That it's okay to have support from community and to express like to not always be so strong and to say like I'm breaking, hey help, or I think it would have been a lot easier if I had had that part sorted, but I think maybe I was able to finally when it was out. Mm. And just now I'm letting friends show up and I'm asking for favors and it's bananas. Like I'm feeling overwhelmed with support. And I was like, were you always there? Like just on the other side of a phone or like a text? I would shut down a lot when I didn't. So I think I learned to ask for help and I learned to show like a more vulnerable side. And I learned like, I can do hard shit. I'm very good at that. Mm-hmm. But being soft and asking for support was the thing that I really learned at the end of this. Mm.
That's a big one. Wow. So now that it's out, what are you most excited about in terms of, what the book will do or just having it just done?
Yeah.
Like, what do you hope the book will do?
Someone asked me the other day, they're like, what's the goal? And I was like, to do my best. They're like, but what's the best? And I was like, I'm not sure. I just keep seeing other people doing it. I'm like, I'll just do best. And they're like, that's a really hard thing to then stop and celebrate yourself. Like, when have you done your best? When is too far? When can you settle into joy and celebration? Mm-hmm. And so I'm still really asking myself that question. So for me, I think it would be to settle in and be just proud of where I got to now without anything else, without any accolades, without anyone else saying, this is amazing, although it helps. Thank you. Yeah. But I think for the people that get the book, I actually am starting to feel so proud of what it will do for people. Like I'm getting messages from strangers and friends being like, I love this sauce. I'm going to eat it every day. Or this was such a cool idea. I've never thought about this before. And that is making it all feel so worth it. So just if I can like infuse myself into someone's life and inspire them a little bit more to do what, for me, the like now spiritual premise of the book is, which is, can I eat to love and can I feed myself as a form of self-love? And it kind of did this full loop around of, can you do it? Can I take moments to nourish myself? Can you do it? And so I think that now is really what I'm excited to see if I can support people in.
And so that's the philosophy of the book?
It wasn't until I was partway through and I realized Eat to Love at first was like, I love the sharing aspect of food and love and how it brings people together and what that means. But it did become a little bit more of, well, I brush my teeth, can I cook something? Like it became more of a bit of a challenge with my own ability to nourish myself as someone paid to nourish everyone else. That isn't totally in the book, but for me, that's what it became. Eat to Love was, can I eat to love myself too? Can I do this? Can I go to bed early? Can I take care of my needs? And so I think if I inspire someone to make a sauce, and that's a form of self-love, because cooking for yourself is self-care. You feel better. You guys know, like, you eliminate dangers out, like, you know, and you make that effort in that space. I think it's really powerful to show yourself that you're worth it.
I love that. Okay, so then what was, like, we talked about the hard things. What was their favorite thing about making this book?
The favorite thing, probably the all girls, the photo shoot, the funny, like,
The original.
Yeah, there was a lot of laughter. There was so much laughter. Like when I look back on the videos now, I'm like, who was that joyful person after 4 years of edits?
Not on a deadline.
I was like, look at her dancing. I'm like frolicking in fields and laughing. There's photos. It's edited, like documented. And I like look at them. I'm like, oh, I was like exuding joy. I was in nature. We were being creatives. I also will say I learned something else. I'm more of a creative than I thought I was. And I don't need to fit into the boxes. Because the happiest I ever was making the thing. Why was I doing hours and years of edits? Like I think in retrospect now I would hire and ask for, again, the support thing, being like, no, I'm not, this is not where I thrive. So why am I doing this? But I think sometimes you have to do all of the jobs to realize where you are good. And so then you get to focus on that. And so I think, yeah, the most joyful part was the beginning and the creation and handing it in. And seeing it live, and I'm like, oh.
And kind of like having already some early success. I mean, you were on KTLA today, and what else?
I was on the news in New York yesterday, and I'm doing a pop-up in Paris, a big book launch. Like it feels, well, that's all friends stepping in and supporting. Like I think it's a wild moment to celebrate. I saw like a big poster board of my face and like a stack of 100 books show up. And I didn't know what to do. And the first night I was like, ugh, everyone being like, congratulations. And it was hard for me. I cried a lot because it's just it's so surreal that it's here. And it's also so exciting to share with people that I love.
Yeah. When you work so hard on something and you don't have anything to show for it the entire time, and then all of a sudden it's there, it's bizarre. But it's also really gratifying because it shows that all the work that you've done is worth it.
Yeah, and someone said a really good piece of advice right before this book thing started, because it's so busy, you can't like function the way you normally would. Like there's not a lot of moments of like, I'm just gonna sit and take this in. You're like, yeah, on to the next thing. Like I've got a red eye, and you know, like you're moving really fast. But someone said like, even these moments of like stress and fast pace, like you will always look back at this week as something that was so exciting and full of life and full of emotion. And so I keep trying to stop being like, yesterday, like on my way to the airport, I'm like, I'm so alive. We might miss the flight. It's crazy. And I was like trying to switch it. I was like, it's okay. You know, like, but just like really trying to like grapple with like, you know, instead of letting the stress take me out, being like, okay, I am so grateful. I'm so grateful it's done, to be honest. It was close. It was really close.
So a lot of sort of big celebrity testimonials on the back of the book. Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, Owen Wilson, Woody Harrelson.
Hollywood, what?
So these So these big celebs, are they just like us? They all are Canadian. Who's your? We won't tell anyone, and this is not being live streamed. So who? It is being live streamed. Do you have any funny stories cooking for some of? It doesn't need to be a celebrity, but could be for some of these, or who's like your favorite person to cook for?
I mean, they're all very different. I would say like some of them are really. I mean, I'll say Woody is a wild one.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just go there. That's all you need to know. I'm like, we're walking home, 6 people coming over for dinner, and he's just inviting strangers. Yeah. Dina knows. Like, just inviting strangers off the side of the road. Then he's like, he's so inspired to really change people's lives around food, and he's so amped. And I'm like, you're not doing the dishes, bro. Like,
yeah, he's stoked.
Yeah, but like always, he was definitely like a blast.
Yeah,
a blast always. Yeah.
And you didn't want me to do testimonial.
Sorry.
Maybe it was a long time ago you asked. There's lots of celebs in it, but they didn't ask.
But I miss Ben.
Ben. That's okay. It's just there's only so much space. Okay, so for someone who's not a good cook, you know, but is but slowly kind of getting into it, what would be your advice? How do you bring more joy into something, you know, as simple as making dinner? Or it's actually not that simple, I don't think, but maybe you see it as simple. Like how would you approach cooking if you sort of get overwhelmed by making eggs?
Especially making eggs.
Yeah, he did. like if someone's asking me like, I need help, what do I do?
Yeah, I don't know how to cook, and like this looks incredible, but I don't know, it feels overwhelming. Like
I'd say hit the sauces.
Hit the sauces. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because in terms of like impact, flavor, and nutrition.
Yep.
Fast, not long term. What are you doing?
I was gonna say write that down.
You're right.
All right, I'm the one with the clipboard. I'll write it down.
Right.
Yeah.
Sauces, and each of the sauces were like really designed to have a lot of powerful nutrients in them.
Right.
So I would say that to anyone. I'm like, you can do it. You can do this one, and you do it once, and you're like, that was so much easier than I thought.
And you can use it again and again.
Yeah. And any meal, I call them like the meal makers. Because you can have like 3 things and put like a tahini ginger sauce. You're like, done.
Yeah. Okay. That's a very good. How are we doing for time? Are we 30 in about? Why don't we? Let's open it up. Should we open it up? Let's open it up to any questions, and then we can kind of wrap a little bit later about some of these last questions that we got to get through, some of the hard hitting. Does anyone have any questions?
This is gonna be super random, but what is your favorite salt right now?
Oh,
because there's this whole thing with the microplastics, and you know everyone says like they're low potential. I'm very into salt. So what is your favorite right now?
To cook with, or to like add to my water?
I guess both.
I'm a Himalayan pink for my water.
Okay.
And I like the crunchy one for my finishing. What is it called? Malden.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I had to know the secrets. So
Good
just
question.
Like the regular Himalayan pink
I like it. Yeah. I find it like great.
What other choices do we have really?
I mean, there's a deep dive we can do.
Okay. But as far as like, I don't know about microplastics because we're breathing them in. It's like whatever. We need our salt. But I was just curious on that. Okay, and so the second question is, I don't really know what the question is. By the time I finish saying this, maybe it'll come out. I've been writing a book since 2020. Mm-hmm. So to hear you say this story, I'm like, I hope this is me someday, you know, like up here saying it's finally done. But I know what it feels like to not have it done, not have it out, like Ben said. Like I've just been working on this thing, and like everyone's asking me, like, where's the book? And the book's not done. My brother's like, write it this weekend. You know, like, where's the thing? Like, yeah. So I'm just. Did you have any of that pressure on you too, or was it just
Ugh, everyone, another deadline? Really?
Did you feel like you were never going to finish it?
Yes. Keep going. Okay. You will.
Because I'm wondering.
Yeah. It was a joke.
And it's almost like it's done, but
But it's never done.
it's not.
It's never done.
When you said that your assistant said this is done, I was like, it kind of
It's
resonated.
It's probably too to like if the edits are done, the proof, like if all those things are done, then hand it over.
Right.
You know, there is something in that. I couldn't remember the continuous flow of like recipes and keeping track of things, and I did so many calculations mathematically in there. This was like pre-AI,
Well,
which
right,
maybe I
that's
could have
the
used. I'm
difference.
like, do my math, what? Yeah. But so I think every time I changed something, it was like a cascaded where this recipe landed. Yeah.
Right.
But I would say like it was a joke amongst my friends and
Yeah,
everyone in my
sure.
life and my family, and they'd be like, another round. Like it was always that, and I was like, I'm just gonna stop saying it's almost done.
That's what I felt like too. Like at this point.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't talk about it.
Yeah, because I don't think anyone understands, so it's very isolating.
Mhm.
But you'll get there. Keep going. Drink salt water. No.
Now I feel safer in myself.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Anyone else?
I have one. When did you make the connection between cooking and your creativity? And I haven't read the book yet, so but it sounds like creativity equal to love. So when did that happen for you?
During the writing. Like I went into this book thinking that like I was much more science brained. I thought I was like putting together chemical experiments. I cook this, I marinate this denatures this, like that's how I was always thinking. And then I realized that I have such a different, like I realized I was more of an artist through this, that I would like, they'd hand it back, they'd be like, okay, the publishers gave me this book. I'm not supposed to say this on this thing, but they gave me a designed book. They gave me a design and I was like offended. I'm like, no, that's not what we're doing with this. And so I redesigned from front to back. We like picked every photo, did everything from scratch over and over again. And so that's when I was like, oh, I need it to be I have a vision. And I didn't always think that I had a vision. Like I would identify as someone who has a really hard time dreaming. Like when I was little, I'm like, I'm just never going to kiss anyone. Like I can't picture myself getting married. I did. I was like, never, it's just not for me.
I can't see it. It's not going to happen.
but I think that's how I've like always, I'm like, would I get married? I don't know these, like, I can't always see it. But I think this was the first time I realized that like, I do have vision and I do have a dream and I could like feel it not being right. And so I kept remaking it until it was, and I finally got it there.
Heck yeah.
That's great. I love that. Anyone else?
Is there a meal that feels like an exhale to you, like home? Is there a meal like when you first get home is the thing?
I don't want to say it.
Air one mac and cheese.
I did it today. It's in the car.
Air
Oh my God.
one mac and cheese. That's very funny.
Gluten-free mac and cheese is so good. Okay. No, I know it's so good.
It's in the car
Yeah,
for the red eye.
I got an extra. Okay, that's bad. That's not what yeah. But I think that's my like super satisfying one, or like melted cheese in like a cassava tortilla. And then the one that actually also was weirdly nourishing, beet greens with a little bit of butter and apple cider vinegar cooked down quite a bit. And that feels like medicine. Like something in it is I really, really like. Good question.
Would you do it again?
I'm supposed to say yes because I've been saying no a lot. Like I'm like, yeah, right. Like a lot. And they were like, you have to stop saying that. Like, I'll say this. I know how to do it now, and I know what I would go in with, and I know how I would ask for help, and I understand now how to pace, and I understand that every deadline is not my death.
Mhm.
Like I understand now that I'm not willing to not live my life for some pressure that I can't even understand. And so I think if I did it, it would be like very much on my terms.
Mhm.
Do I want to do it now? No. But maybe later.
Mhm.
Okay, so on the food side, because I've been so lucky to have a lot of your food, when we take a this book, how is it best for us to open it, to love it, to experience it? Do we go in from the first page? Should we just, I know you said sauces if we're at the beginning, but like for me, because I've had so much of it, I'm like, where's the salmon? Where's this? Where's that? But like,
Where's the granola?
where's the granola? Where's all the things that I want? But for somebody that has, I've got like, I'm allergic to garlic, which is like the worst. But in here, you have, I remember you're going through being like, if you can't have garlic, you can have this. It's like, there's so many like substitutions. But how would you recommend us when we take our books home tonight to be able to like dive into it? Is there a way, or is it, how would you say that?
Depends what, I guess, like you're interested in. So at the very back, there's a glossary and it says like every recipe that's categorized under anti-inflammation or every recipe that's categorized as dairy-free if someone is intolerant. And so I would say if you are going specifically because you have an allergy, go to that. If you're going because you're looking for some, inspiration, I would just like flip and stop and see where you land. Or I would probably go through and like flip through the beginning section to the end. But it really, I think like there's a lot of really cool drinks and a lot of really great sauces. And then the sides, those would be like the first sections I would start in. The larger plates and the wraps and the rolls and bowls are a little more complicated. And by complicated, that just means like maybe an extra few minutes of chopping because nothing's like outrageous.
As a second question, what would you say is different about your book than other cookbooks? Because when I opened it, I suddenly was like, oh, this is really different. And I think it's so cool. It's like, give us a little like insider on what that is.
I sat many nights reading every like encyclopedia on food science and what vitamins are in what thing. And I built like a little matrix in my mind of this has this vitamin and therefore I can categorize it as this, so that instead of saying like this frittata has lots of red pepper and therefore is high in vitamin A and C, I might mention that, but I'll also give it a category. So every recipe has been categorized as to where it might fall in a health benefit. Again, all of this very much depends on like digestion, all of these other things, and cooking and quality. Like there's a lot of disclaimers. Where is it grown? Blah, blah, blah. But I think this is different because I've considered nutrition and I've tried to add healthy fat when I need to, remove it when it doesn't need to be there. And I've tried to be like really intentional about the creation so that it truly is where health meets flavor as far as I can do it. Like someone else might be like, that's trash, but for me, I think like I've had really good luck in my career.
We'll take a break.
Yeah.
Fight 'em.
Who said that? Who said that?
But I think like,
Feisty Canadians.
yeah, really, they're scrappy. But I think it's probably just there's a lot of thought behind everything. And it has a nutritional component and it has a little bit of a story and there's a lot of choose your own adventure. So it's not just recipes and photos. I also think our photography, again, to talk about that is like really something.
This is the
Oh, that's the chart.
chart. And so how does this work?
Well, each recipe is listed and then you can see
Okay.
where it lands. So
Right.
like,
So there's the recipes right here, and then there's dairy-free, gluten-free, grain-free, oil-free, vegan, protein, high fiber, super fiber.
Oh, I made another system. Oh my God, I forgot about this. There's a system of, so I did the macros and like did all that. And then I wanted to do, it doesn't even matter, but I'm going to say it. So I wanted to know how many calories or how much protein per recipe based on a caloric ratio. So if a smoothie is 1,500 calories and it has 25 grams of protein, everyone's like, that's a great form of protein. I would say it's not voted as a high protein on mine. I made like a system where you get a lot of protein per calorie. And I made a system of how much fibers there per serving per meal. So it was like regular fiber and then super fiber. Because like we need to know how much fiber if you're trying to get more fiber in, it's nice to know. I didn't split them into soluble, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But there's a low carb one. There's a high fiber, super fiber. There's protein, like there's a lot of
Mood
different
balancing,
systems.
energy focus, anti-aging, head of the game. Right, anti-inflammatory.
Yeah. And obviously everything is kind of everything. And I say that as like glossary of every ingredient and what it can do for your body and how to use it, of every like item that's in the book.
Now we see why it took.
Yeah, it was a really long, but I really wanted to put everything into it and give someone an experience. So if you're interested in nutrition, you can get it. If you want just like 3 recipes, great. If you just want to like flip a book and look at photos to just like disappear for a minute. So it's, yeah, he busy, he gone.
I just disappeared. What did you say?
Where was I?
Any other questions that we want to ask?
I feel complete.
I feel very good about everything. I do want to maybe just leave you with one last opportunity to share. You sort of touched on this, but I guess just, what's your dream with this book, or what's your hope that readers will get from, or users, cooks will get from the book?
Maybe some form of inspiration, like just a little thought, a little something that provokes, and no more guilt and no more shame, just like something that feels light and magical and exciting and full of curiosity. Is that too much to ask?
Mikaela Reuben, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks, Gabby. I'm going to take a video.
Yeah.
That's fun. All these people.
Keep clapping.
Thanks. Thank you.
That was awesome. Like I said, if you bought your book ahead of time, you still have it, and we have more copies, and I'm sure she'll sign them for you. And thank you guys so much for being here. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.